your comments and your contributions, as we always do appreciate hearing from you. We will take a short break, and we'll come back. I'll be giving you more live updates currently taking place in Mount Hampton for the Sadc Extraordinary Summit. Stay tuned.
Angola, Mozambique, Zimbabwe, South Africa, Zambia, Madagascar, Botswana, Lesotho, Mauritius, Eswatini.
We've got Zimbabwe, South Africa, Angola, Zambia. Those are the ones that I'm aware of.
Zimbabwe, Botswana, South Africa, Tanzania, Mozambique, Malawi, Botswana. I think that's it. Zimbabwe, South Africa, Tanzania, Mozambique, and Zambia.
There's Zimbabwe, South Africa, Malawi, Angola, Tanzania.
Yeah, I've got Zimbabwe, Zambia, Angola, Seychelles, Madagascar, Lesotho, Swaziland, South Africa. You've got Namibia, Mozambique, Malawi, Eswatini, Angola. Yeah, I think that's the few that I know.
It's Mozambique. I forget.
Zimbabwe, South Africa, Lesotho, Swaziland, Mozambique, Zambia, Angola, Namibia, and Botswana and Italy. I think this was the demo.
Ndoziva Zimbabwe, Botswana, Zambia, South Africa.
Ndoziva Zambia, ndoziva South Africa, ndoziva Botswana, and this is.
And that's like Zimbabwe, Tanga is Zimbabwe. Chini Angola, Chini Malawi, Botswana, Namibia, South Africa. I'm for 14, 15, but I'm Buddha. Yeah, Buddha.
Zimbabwe, South Africa, Zambia, Swaziland, Botswana.
Zambia, Zimbabwe, Malawi, Botswana, Mozambique.
There's South Africa, there's Zimbabwe, there's Eswatini. That's 3.
Zimbabwe, Zambia, South Africa, Botswana, Madagascar, DRC.
Hello and welcome to the program Inspire Children, that program that looks into the issues that do affect our children across the nation, in our families, in our communities, and probably across the globe. Today we are talking about child labor as a child protection issue, as an issue that we find within the different sectors. Do you know that in Zimbabwe, children get occupied or given work in the different spheres such as agriculture, as mining, and areas like that? One of the things that we realize is that for children to develop fully, they must be allowed to be children. And so today on the program, we've got Rumbidzai Marevegwa, a social worker, to help us to have a deeper understanding of child labor and how it affects the development and the growth of children. Rumbidza, welcome to the program.
Yes, thank you so much.
Can you give us just an overview of the trend of what is happening in our country in terms of child labor?
Talking about child labor is one of the most difficult things.
Yeah.
Why? We are saying children should contribute to the general welfare of the, let's say, the household.
Mm-hmm.
They should take part in their upkeep, but we are looking at what are the children able to do in bite-sized chunks of work. So let me just start talking about a simple definition to child labor, which will just say it's work, but it's work that deprives children of their childhood. It's work that deprives children of their dignity.
Yes.
And to some extent, and in some instances, also causes physical harm and damage to their bodies and also even psychologically.
Yeah.
Yes. So if we look at it now, we find in our day-to-day runnings, we have children working in farms.
Yeah.
We have children in artisanal mining.
Yeah.
We have children who are engaging in commercial sexual exploitation.
Yes.
And commonplace, we have left children in our homes as maids.
Yeah.
Yes. So we are looking at all those kinds of work and how they then disturb the development of the child and their potential to achieve or become the best of whom they should be.
Yeah.
Yes,
you know, when you talk about that, there's one area that people kind of get confused. When you talk about child labor, people, they rush back home to say, so are the children not supposed to do chores around the home? And you are really bringing that clarity to say we're not talking about child labor. We're not talking about a child just doing the basic household chores so that they learn the skills and things like that. But it's more to their development and their harm and depriving them of certain things. So what is the general perspective in Zimbabwe, or the things that we've seen around? You talked about the mines, you talked about the farms. What is really happening? Do you have a general perspective of that?
Okay, so let's quickly bring in the concept of the evolving capacities of children when we talk about child labor. As you are rightly saying, we often think that or people often tend to say children are not supposed to work, and we look at those simple chores that children do in the household. That is not what we would term child labor.
Yeah.
As long as the child is working within their capacity, children go to fetch water in the rural areas or even in the urban areas these days. But you see a 5-year-old child carrying a 20-liter bucket of water.
Yeah.
Are they capable of doing that?
There's a problem now there.
Yes. But maybe if they would have a 2-liter bottle of water, yes, we are looking at the capacity of that child vis-a-vis the kind of work that we are giving them.
Yeah.
And these are the common and general kind of things that we are seeing in the contemporary society, where we are saying we need to fetch water. How much can she carry? We need to go to the field because it's the farming season.
Yeah.
How much work can that child do? Are we saying they're supposed to be working in these long hour shifts in the tobacco fields, working for money, being given targets to say if you don't finish these 50 lines, you are not going to leave? You see, the moment we bring in the monetary aspect, the moment we bring in these tedious kind of targets for children, we are already talking about child labor.
And putting the burden of the family on them.
On the child.
Of saying, you know, today we need some relish in the house. We are supposed to make sure that you do something, it's upon you.
Exactly.
These are some of the realities that we find in the different communities. So, Rumbi, what are the forms of child labor that are so common that we see? We want our viewers to have that understanding, to say, you know, when I see this thing, this is child labor.
Well, I would say we want to talk about common things that we see on a day-to-day basis, not necessarily those big technical jargon words.
Yeah.
Yes, but let's take ourselves to let's say those busy transit towns,
Yeah.
where we have children engaging in what commonplace is being called child prostitution. That's child labor. Because one, our laws prohibit sexual intercourse with a minor.
It's a minor.
Yes. And then second, this child is working for money.
Yeah.
And that is really common in most of our transit towns. Yes. And then you would also look at in our mining areas, where you have children working in the mining areas. Let's say even they are going to the rivers, doing, I can't remember, what's that term where they call, where they are getting gold and trying to sieve it through with water in those rivers.
The rivers,
yes. And you also have even children going deep down under those disused mining shafts that are abandoned and that have never been used for the longest time. All sorts of mining that you can think about.
Yes.
Because we are saying, is it even safe for that child to be in that place? And talk less of the kinds of interactions they
with
then
adults.
have with adults in those spaces. So we are looking at children being endangered physically and all to them, and that may even cause other further harm. When you look at even the use of drugs and substance, they might also be rampant in those areas.
Yeah.
And in those same areas, we find
there are more
children.
adults there,
Exactly.
yeah, and
Yes.
the lifestyles and the things that are done there. So when we expose to children, you know, you also talked about where we have children. We're talking about a person below 18 employed
Yes.
as housemates. Can you talk more about that?
Yes. So we are saying children have got rights, and it is that child's right to be in school, that child's right to develop and to survive fully and completely. But now when we have a child who's working as a maid, they are 12, they are 14, they are 15. Ordinarily, that child is supposed to be in school. That's one. And by law, that child is also supposed to be in school. So how then do we have a child working as a maid? As long as we are depriving another right, then something is wrong. So that's when we then say we are depriving the child of their development, we are depriving them of their dignity. Who then knows how safe that child is within the household?
And there's more exposure to other things.
Exactly. And so even in the end, you find those children are even exposed to sexual exploitation even within those spaces, because they are supposed to happen on a daily basis, and when we look at them, we don't really think it's important, and we don't even think it's child labor, because after all, they are working, they'll get money. So what we enjoy at the end of the day is the benefit, is the result. But in the process, we are killing a soul, and we are depriving this child of their future.
Wow.
And so even if I could take it further and say, then it means we are perpetuating that cycle of poverty.
So these things that are listening right now, we have employed children. Just hold on with that thought, and soon after the break, we'll get back. Viewers, join us after the break.
Applications are invited from suitably qualified and experienced candidates to fill in the vacant positions that have arisen in the Zimbabwe Broadcasting Corporation. The following vacancies are currently available: Manager, Power FM, Monitoring and Evaluation Manager, Marketing Executive, Graphic Artist, Finance Officer, Outside Broadcast Technician, Sub-Editor, Picture Editor, Animator, Traffic Officer. Applicants are invited to visit the corporation's website, www.zambia-broadcasting.co.za, www.zbc.co.zw under vacancies or to scan the QR code to make their applications. ZBC is an equal opportunities employer committed to diversity and inclusion. All vacancies closing on Monday, the 18th of November 2024.
Give your skin the moisture it deserves with Ingram's Moisture Plus, our best triple glycerine serum mixed into Ingram's fast-absorbing cream with a beautiful fragrance, leaving your skin looking so healthy. It glows with all-day moisture. Switch to Ingram's for intense moisture. Try new Moisture Plus coconut oil with added vitamin E.
What are other risks that these children face when they're young, they get into this space and they're working, they're employed? What are some of the dangers that they face?
We spoke previously saying when children are rampant, it then means no one is there then to regulate their behavior.
What happens to
They
them?
end up engaging in drug and substance abuse. And when we bring it to the issue of commercial sexual exploitation, they are exposed to the various kinds of diseases. Talk about the STIs, talk about HIV infection, talk about teen pregnancies and all those ills. And then even when we look at children who are even selling on the streets.
Yeah, that's another issue.
Yes, and children who are being exposed to beg. In the end, that unquenchable desire for money,
that versus education
versus
as well.
education and versus child development, you might find it then deteriorates or degenerates into having a child who is even a thief. When you look at even the issues around pickpocketing in the urban areas, it starts from training that child to be so much on the hunt for money.
For money,
yes.
for cash, yes.
Exactly. And so on dry days, what then happens in the streets? We end up having all those social ills. But we want to talk about the psychological effects of these, of child labor on children. It's heavy on their minds. Knowing that I have to be looking for money, maybe I have to fend for the families, it really takes a toll on them. And so you find that children are also stressed, even in their own regard.
Yeah, because
the
the capacity as well has been
Yes.
overstretched.
Exactly.
Yeah, those are serious issues. So, Ruby, you're talking about children selling in the streets, and we are also seeing another trend across our cities of children with disabilities being used to
beg. Yes.
Can we look at that as another form of child labor within the informal sector?
Exactly. Because it has never been upon the child to fend for themselves. It has never been upon the child to go out and find food for themselves. So now it seems as if they are saying, because you have a disability, and so let's use this ability to fetch food for you, to fend for you. Why then is it supposed to be the child's burden? Is it because of the disability, or it's because of the economic hardships that we're talking about? But even so, it still is the burden of the parent, of the guardian, to take care of that child. And if we want to look at it from the angle that we have a lot of social protection measures that have been put in place by the government, why then should we see people coming onto the streets? Rather, we go